been so good to me. With the bluebirds I'm singing his praise, for guiding me and giving me the seed in my hand for the apple tree. Oh, his mercy is new every day. Oh, I haven't got a home, but he watches where I roam. Over hills and fields I plant my seeds, and one day you will see a tree. Oh, a beautiful apple tree. Oh, the apple is a gift from God's own blessedness. So I will sow, and he'll make it grow, and our gift will be the apple tree. Oh, God has been so good to me. Oh, God has been so good to me. With the bluebirds I'm singing his praise, for guiding me and giving me the seed in my hand for the apple tree. The seed in my hand for the apple tree. Oh, his mercy is new every day. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. The seed in my hand for the apple tree. Oh, his mercy is new every day.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Disney Movie Stack. This is episode 10, Melody Time, and I'm here with Andee Buccheri. How are you today?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
No problem. And I'm your host, Ray Gootz. And Andee, well, Andee's a little bit different guest than the other ones we've had on the show before, but let's get started. Andee, how long have you been doing stand-up?
I've been doing stand-up for about 3 years now.
Oh, okay.
But my background is actually in musical theater. So
Yeah, and how long have you been doing that?
that I've been doing, well, I went to college for musical theater down at NYU. And before that, so high school, middle school, all musical theater. So I've been at it for about 13 years.
Okay, so pretty much like most of your, since you were an adolescent.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. Because, she's much younger. You're like the youngest person on the show so far. How old are you right now?
I'm 25.
Yeah, you're the youngest person on the show so far. Okay, cool.
I will take my sippy cup on the way out.
Okay, cool. And what made you get into comedy? Why did you want to do stand up?
Well, at NYU, they did this really fun thing where they never cast me in any of the musicals. I was in like 2 musicals my entire time in college. So I needed to find a way to fill the time when all my classmates would go to rehearsal. And I always loved writing. So I thought, let me try out some stuff in comedy. So I took an improv class, hated that. And I was like, let me try stand-up. And I really loved the writing process, the joke editing process, and the fact that you can stay with material the same way that you would do in musical theater. Because sometimes you're working on a role for, 4 to 6 weeks of rehearsal, if you have a very plush long rehearsal time, and then you're playing that role for 10 months. So I can play the role of certain jokes within a long period of time.
Yeah, exactly. So they didn't cast you in any musicals in the school?
No. I was in the ensemble of Stephen Sondheim's Saturday Night,
okay,
which was his first musical, and nobody ever talks about it. And then I actually had a really great opportunity to be in A Little Night Music.
Oh, okay.
So that was
I know. Is that the one where it's Sending the Clowns?
Yeah, that's
okay,
actually Sending the Clowns is in that one. And that was a great opportunity. But besides that, it was a kind of a tough go for me in college.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was tough for me too. I got rejected. I wasn't in the act. I went to Marymount Manhattan College.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever heard that place?
Yeah.
I hate that school. Waste of time. The only who was went to Marymount is and she's like the biggest person to come out of there since 20 years. 'Cause I was there. I started actually this fall, 1999. The girl who plays Supergirl, Melissa Benoist.
Oh yes, she did Waitress on Broadway.
Oh, she did. So she. Oh, yeah, that's right. She does
Yeah.
because she sang on Supergirl once.
Yeah.
She's the only person to ever make it.
Yeah, she got discovered through the Glee project.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. But that school's a waste of time. But the acting professors were very mean.
Mhm.
Were your acting professors mean? Real quick?
I had some great acting professors. I had professors who built me up, and I had professors who tore me down.
Okay.
So I decided that I would put stock in the ones who were encouraging me and kind of just take what the other one said with a grain of salt. Because acting teachers tend to bring their own baggage into what they tell you, and you're like, oh, you're just projecting onto me.
Oh, one of the acting teachers was the mom from Clarissa at my school.
Oh, okay.
I don't know her name, but she was kind of bitchy. I heard because her only credit was Clarissa. Anyway, but this professor David Mole, I'll never forget this. This is how mean teachers can be, and like I'm always like, don't be this mean. But one guy had been in a bunch of plays, but he was in the senior showcase. Did they have senior showcases when you?
At NYU, they don't because the acting program is so huge that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, they had a senior showcase, and he said, "How come you didn't put me in the senior showcase?" And he goes to him, "Frankly, I don't think you're going to make it. I just kind of see you as you're going to be a waiter." And I remember he stormed, because I worked in the school, I worked in the admissions office, and he stormed in the admissions office. He's like, "Can you believe that guy fucking said I was going to be a waiter? Fuck him. I am a great actor. I'm going to make it." Da-da-da. So years pass, and I was the manager at Caroline's for a long time before I did comedy full time, but I would do comedy part time. And there's this big event called Scleroderma that Bob Saget has.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they have to, and it's all hands on deck, but they even have to bring in cater waiters to help with and that's all the waiters we have, like, I don't know how many they have now, but when I worked there, there was like 25, 30 waiters.
Yeah.
And they
That's a big
have
event.
another 15 on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
Cater waiters. And one of them was that guy. And he didn't recognize me. And I kept my mouth shut. But all I remembered was what the teacher said to him. And I'm like, I bet you anything, if that teacher did not say that to him, he wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah.
So sometimes people like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I cater waiter myself.
Okay. But this is like 15 years later.
Right. Yeah,
And I think I had someone ask him, because I didn't want to do it, because I didn't want to remind him of the speech, if he acted or anything. And he was like, tried it and I didn't like it. Or like, oh, that didn't work out.
Oh, God.
And I always feel like the teacher vexed him.
Yeah, no, it's definitely tough to reject that like inner monologue that starts to play that other people have like told about you.
Mm-hmm.
But stand-up was a great way for me to break away from that, because I didn't have professors telling me that I wasn't good at stand-up. Like if I went in a room and I got laughs, I was good that night. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. You'll have drunk people at LOL Comedy Club tell you not good stand-up.
Sure, yeah.
Like some crowds are ruthless. But it's better than like, but you're right, you get immediate feedback and it's awesome. Let me ask you this. How was your childhood?
My childhood, I would say that I had a Disney childhood.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
we were a big Disney family. So I had seen all the movies. I'm one of three. I have two brothers, so I have an older brother, younger brother. Pretty like uneventful childhood. Grew up in Connecticut.
Hartford, right?
Hartford,
okay,
the Hartford
cool.
area. Yeah, people always think like, especially in New York, like you say you grew up in Connecticut, and they're like, oh, you're from Greenwich. Like, no, like they think you have a boat and a trust fund. It's like, no, I'm from Central Connecticut. I just have the trust fund. No, I had a great childhood, a good relationship with my parents. So, yeah.
So that's my next question that I usually ask the guests. So Disney was a big part of your childhood.
Oh yeah.
You already confirmed that. What were like some of your favorite movies? And did you go see any in theaters?
So I was born 94. So by the time I was born, like Lion King was already out on VHS. Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast. So I think the first Disney movie that I saw in theaters was probably Aladdin, because that came out. Did that come out in 99?
That came out in 92.
Oh my God.
So you weren't alive.
I'm out here fabricating false memories.
Yeah.
All right.
Unless it was a re-release, or maybe like some special.
I don't know.
Or they showed it at your school or something.
I definitely saw Mulan, because Mulan was 2000, right?
Mulan's 98.
98?
Yeah.
Oh my God, my timeline's all mixed up.
So
I was 4 years old.
The first movie I ever saw was 3, and that was Ghostbusters.
Okay.
So you could, you probably,
Yeah, but I remember the year 2000, I had the Mulan lunchbox.
Okay.
So I associate Mulan with kindergarten. I was in kindergarten in 2000.
Gee, I was in college. This is crazy. Did you see? So did you see like Dinosaur, Emperor's New Clothes, Lilo and Stitch in theaters?
Emperor's New Groove, yeah. Lilo and
New
Stitch
Groove,
was.
sorry.
No, you're fine. Lilo and Stitch was an integral part of my childhood. All the Pixar movies were huge.
Yeah, I forgot this.
Toy Story,
Pixar
Toy
takes
Story
over,
2, and then there was that huge gap between Toy Story 2 and 3. That like I had seen Toy Story 2 in like kindergarten or first grade, and then Toy Story 3 didn't come out until I was in high school.
Oh yeah. That was so funny because I went on a date with a girl to see Toy Story 3. And she had seen Toy Story 2. I think at the time she was 20 because she just turned 30. So she was 20. So she had seen Toy Story 2 when she was a kid.
Yeah.
So this was like a big nostalgic thing for
Yeah.
her. Toy Story 2 came out. And I remember the theater was packed with adults. It was like a Friday. Lincoln Center was packed
Yeah, it's
with
like
adults.
that. It's like that Adam Sandler movie where he gets sent back to elementary school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was all these people like living there. And to me, I wasn't really, it's not my childhood because I was 14 when Toy Story 1 came out and I was 18 when Toy Story 2 came out. So it was, but to her, it was like her childhood. And it's so funny to think like Toy Story 4, now she's 30. But now there's probably kids who were like 9 when Toy Story 3 came out and now when Toy Story 4 came out, it's like, that's my childhood.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, so it's interesting like with Disney, nothing is an accident.
Yeah.
You know, they plan these things meticulously, the release of their movies. So to time it between them, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. So, but the funny thing is, like, it's crazy. When I went to go see Toy Story 4, 2010 to me is like yesterday. Like, it's like just yesterday. And it's funny to think, like, oh no, there's people that was their childhood, and now they're like in their 20s and they're adults, and like this is like when I was a kid.
Yeah, it was a weird passage of time for me too, because 2010 I was 16, so I have like very clear memories of being in high school, and by then I was already pursuing musical theater very actively, getting ready for college. So the time difference, it feels very, very strange and very different because in a lot of ways I already felt like an adult. So.
Oh yeah, no, totally, yeah. And I mean, I was 29 and I'm 38 now when Toy Story 4 came out. So, all right, so let's get to the movie at hand. Had you seen Melody Time before?
No, I had never even heard of it. It is like the weird uncle that doesn't come to Christmas that no one talks about.
It really is. Before we get into like the making of it and all this other stuff, what'd you think of it?
You know what? It was better than I thought it was going to be. When I didn't hear it, and then when I sat down and you're like, yeah, it's not their best, I was like, okay. But like sitting down and tucking in and watching Melody Time, it's pleasantly forgettable.
Yeah, it is. Here's a little background on this movie. So the last four episodes, there has been all these package films, which started with Saludos Amigos. What happened was World War II breaks out. He can't distribute to Europe. The United States government kind of takes over the studio. A lot of animators get drafted. There's this thing like the world might end or something. He had ideas for Cinderella, Little Mermaid, Jungle Book even. Like, he had all these ideas, and he's like, I can't put this shit out now because I don't even know if I have a studio. But I don't even know, the Nazis might win World War II. You know what I mean? Like, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
So he started, the first 2 movies he made were funded by, and I talked about this in the episode, but you don't know this because you weren't there. The first 2 movies he makes after Bambi are Saludos Amigos, and Three Caballeros. They're funded by the United States government to get Latin America more on board with the United States because Nazi Germany was making inroads with Argentina and Brazil. Like, they were trying to ally them up. And they used Disney as a Trojan horse to make them allies in the war with those movies. And then, like, the war's still going on. He's like, I need to make more package films. And he makes these, like, dopey little package films.
Yeah.
And there's 6 of them in total. This is the 5th one. And this, to me, is, like, the most forgettable one.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's like, it's not like Fantasia where it was a lot of really great animators and a lot of really memorable music and memorable animation.
It's all classical music.
It's almost like when you pull the leftovers from the week out of your fridge and you need one last meal. And so you got like some leftover roast turkey from Tuesday with some lo mein from Thursday night and a 3-bean salad, and you're just like, all right, time to choke it down.
Yeah, I don't want to go out and spend money. So
yeah,
which is basically what they're doing. So this came out in 1948. World War II is already over. He's in the process of making Cinderella, and I think now he basically told the animators, do whatever you want. He wasn't really hands on with this movie. which you can tell because it's not a piece of shit, but it's kind of lame. But where was I going with this? Fuck, I forgot. Anyway, listen, I was going somewhere. Did you see Fantasia?
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Because it was Fantasia 2000, right?
There's two Fantasias. There's the original Fantasia.
I think I've seen the original Fantasia.
Okay, Fantasia 2000 has Rhapsody in Blue.
Yes, that's the memorable piece that I remember, and
that's new for Fantasia 2000.
Sorcerer's
Apprentice is in both versions.
Yes.
Yeah. So you saw Fantasia 2000.
Yeah, Fantasia
How is
2000.
that? I've never seen that one.
I thought it was incredible. I mean, there's stuff that I haven't seen in 10 years, and it's animation that I would recognize, like that Rhapsody in Blue, where they're building the skyscrapers, and it has a kind of momentum to it, where the animation really matches just the what the music is, and it's something that we're used to in musical theater, having like a scene into a song, and to be able to match what's going on stage and the choreography and how it all feeds into each other.
Have you seen the original Fantasia? No, right?
I don't think so.
Okay, you're gonna fall asleep for that one.
Okay.
Wow. The bet. There's a reason why Disney's in this. I mean, Mickey's in the new one.
Yeah.
Because it's like the best segment of like the whole movie.
Yeah, it's that iconic like Mickey in a sorcerer's outfit that you're kind of fed since birth, and you're like, oh, this is what connects to it. This is the music and the scene that connects to it.
To get ready for the podcast, I watched Fantasia like 4 or 5 times this summer. Because they have audio. I listen to the commentary tracks, get notes and stuff, and things I can talk about. This movie doesn't have a commentary track, but like, it's a rough watch. The original Fantasia. So Fantasia, real quick. Fantasia. So let me tell you what Melody Time is for the people who haven't seen this movie. Fantasia. It was their first movie like this, where they take classical music and they basically make the first music videos. Like they have like these animated, like The Sorcerer's Apprentice and Nutcracker Suite and stuff like that. They put it to music. That was the first one. And it was very successful. Then he does 2 more. He did Make Mine Music, which we've covered 2 episodes ago, which is a lot of popular 40s music. And then he does this movie, which is basically the same thing, but with less popular 40s music. And it's 7 segments. Do you want to go through each segment? We'll get your thoughts on each segment.
Sure.
Okay, cool. So let's start with Once Upon a Wintertime. Frances Langford sings the whole song. It's about 2 romantic young lovers on a winter day, basically just hooking up, like a Hallmark Channel movie before Hallmark Channel movies. What did you think of this?
I was confused. Right when I started watching it, I asked you, did they release this around Christmas time? Because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me to have a winter, like a winter segment in a movie released around Memorial Day. Yeah. Unless they were going for like a Christmas in July thing that didn't really get pulled off.
Popular, yeah. And it wasn't July, it was May. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it does feel like very Christmassy, and I like the animation though. It's very different. Like you were saying how it looks different.
It's not that traditional animation that you're expecting from the time, like, Cinderella, Snow White, how it all kind of has the same style. There's a departure with like the coloring and you saw the familiar animal Disney look. But I thought some of the color palette that they used was really creative and fun.
Yeah, the song kind of sucked, but
the song was entirely forgettable. Couldn't sing you a lyric from that, but
yes. Oh, actually, here's a really funny thing. They replaced that song with Jingle Bells when they re-released this on VHS for the Disney sing-along video. But do you remember Disney? Did you have VHS player?
Yes, yeah.
So they had sing-along videos where they would have like little clips from like Jungle Book or whatever. And they had this segment, but it was set to Jingle Bells. So they even like the song sucks.
Yeah, so they were like, the animation's good, but honestly, we can't even remember what song we put with it in the first place. So,
all right, next up, Freddie Martin and his orchestra do Bumble Boogie, and they do a version of Fly the Bumblebee, which is everyone's songs. What do you think of Bumble Boogie?
Bumble Boogie.
It was that little bee.
Yeah, the little bee, and he gets eaten up by the flowers. Cute.
Yeah,
I guess.
It was short and forgettable.
It was short and forgettable.
Yeah.
Like me on a bad night.
Hey, come on.
Yeah.
Well, you might be short, but I don't know if about forgettable. But yeah. So this one is 17 minutes long. This one's The Legend of Johnny Appleseed. And actually, you had an interesting story about this. Why don't you tell the viewers, the listeners, no viewers, the listeners, what your story?
Yeah, so I went to this like cute little storybook like day camp when I was a kid, and every day we'd sit down and have lunch, and we'd have to say grace. But given that we were ages anywhere between like the age of like 6 and 12, they needed to come up with a way for us to say grace that didn't feel like heavy and Catholic. So we would sing Grace. So we would have like two versions. We'd either do the Addams Family or Johnny Appleseed. So when the Johnny Appleseed song started playing, I was like, oh wait, I already know the song because we used to sing it to say Grace.
Oh wow, that's crazy. You said the Addams Family. You mean the song from the Addams Family TV show?
Yeah. It was like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We thank you for the food, Lord, the blessings of the day,
you
Lord.
do like
We
that?
thank you for
I never heard that.
It was they really they hijacked that song and used it for their own purposes.
I thought you did the real because I was like, that's a very bizarre camp to do like this super Christian song, and then we're gonna sing the theme song to Addams Family. That's like going to a place like we're gonna sing hymns and Rob Zombie.
Yeah, that's no in between. But I thankfully Johnny Appleseed already has such strongly Christian themes that it was pretty easy to bring to a day camp to sing for Grace. There was no lyric changes for that one.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
What did you think of Johnny Appleseed, this version?
It's a lot closer animation wise to other things that I'm familiar with in the Disney canon.
How about the skunk who looked like Flower?
Oh yeah, it was like the junior varsity animal sketches from Bambi. It was like if you
the stand-ins for the Bambi.
Yeah.
Like if they were actors, it was their stand-ins.
Right. They were like, if you do the stand-in work for Bambi, we'll put you on this other film.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, in a little segment. Yeah, I thought it was like a nicely animated, but like that's such a I don't even. Do people still tell that story? Like
I had never heard the story of Johnny Appleseed before.
Oh, it was a fable that people would tell. Like a lot of American fables have kind of not stood the test of time, like fairy tales have.
Mm-hmm.
Like John Henry Irons or Johnny Appleseed or Paul Bunyan. I don't even remember the story of Paul Bunyan.
I also didn't come from. I come from a family of immigrants.
Okay.
So like my strongest cultural ties are to Italian culture.
Yeah.
And then on my mom's side it's like Russian, Ukrainian, Native American.
Yeah, I feel like the American myth, when they're the Greek gods or like the Europeans fairy tales. I feel like American is not this shit. I think more it's like Superman or Batman or Iron Man.
That's probably the closest thing that we have to American mythology.
Yeah, I feel that's more American mythology. Like this guy's parents get shot and he dresses up like a bat.
Yeah, like my dad didn't even come to the United States until he was 11.
Oh wow.
So by then he was already off doing
Batman?
other stuff. What
Okay, I thought you were about to tell me your dad showed up dressed as Batman.
Yeah, he was Batman. No, he was out out back building model planes and doing that thing already.
Cool.
So,
all right, cool. Now next up was Little Toot, about a little tugboat in a city filled with other boats. What'd you think of Little Toot?
Oh man, I thought it was gonna take a dark turn. Like,
they almost had like a 9/11 incident. Yeah,
where the boat collides with the city, and the boat looked eerily like the Titanic.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was kind of like it looks like a precursor to Thomas the Tank Engine. Anthropomorphic little boats having a good time.
I like the designs of the anthropomorphic boats.
Yeah.
I thought the segment was kind of dark and weird and boring, but I literally like the animation.
Dark, weird, and boring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are some strong adjectives.
It is. Now, speaking of boring, Fred Waring and the Pennsylvanians do a piece based on the 1913 poem Trees. This segment is called Trees. What do you think of Trees with the Pennsylvanians?
Oh, man. I mean, I'm sure there's some arborist somewhere that's happy, but not. I can't even fully remember. It was just
I don't remember
trees.
it at all. We literally just watched it like 20 minutes ago. And
I can't remember.
I just remember the Pennsylvanians.
Maybe the government should use that to when they want to wipe people's brains.
Right after they announced Jeffrey Epstein has molested him and Clinton have raped kids, they should just show trees.
And everyone's like, what were we thinking about 20
Clinton
minutes ago?
did what? He was a great president. That's right. Let's
sure, yeah.
Next up, I like this segment the most, and I'll tell you why in a second. Blame It on the Samba with Donald Duck and Jose Caruco and the Aracutan Bird. And they're doing the Sambo with Ernesto Nazareth. What'd you think of this?
I really liked that one. With Disney films, I feel like a lot of the stuff in the middle from the 50s to probably until about the late 80s, early 90s, the music was very vanilla, very reflective of the Cole Porter, Rodgers and Hammerstein style of the time. So to see something that had a lot of character to it, actually, and was reflected other cultures, was actually pretty cool.
If you thought this piece was good, definitely check it out, especially if it's on Disney. Are you gonna get Disney Plus?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
I think these movies are going to be on Disney Plus. Check out Three Caballeros because it's all Latin songs.
Yeah.
And Donald's like dancing the merengue and shit. It's pretty cool. That movie's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But this is my favorite segment because it's Donald And I gotta see, to me, like the Disney Avengers to me are like Mickey, Donald, Goofy, Pluto, Daisy, and Minnie.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love those characters. I don't know why they don't do more with them. And I like seeing Donald in a movie like this.
Mm-hmm.
I always like seeing Donald. So this is why that's my favorite.
Especially on his own without Mickey, because he's
Yeah.
kind of like whereas Mickey
Or Uncle Scrooge, who I feel like kind of
Yeah.
took over with DuckTales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like whereas Mickey's like always has a great attitude. It's like Donald Duck is kind of a little more like relatable to millennials because he's a little more grumpy and a little more jaded.
Donald's very dark, and it's funny that like I just feel like Disney now would not create Donald because he's very negative,
Yeah.
selfish, dark, and that's what I love about him. He's the best. Yeah. Now the final segment, and the longest one, is done by Roy Rogers. It's called Pecos Bill, and it's the Sons of the Pioneer and Roy Rogers telling a story to Bobby Driscoll. Oh, he became famous. Who the fuck did he become? He's actually famous.
Bobby Driscoll.
He was in a bunch of Disney movies. Treasure Island. He was a kid in Treasure Island.
Oh, okay.
50. He was also he did the voice for Peter Pan. That's how I know this kid. Okay.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's the voice of Peter
He had
Pan.
a very
What?
dark ending to his life, didn't he?
Bobby Driscoll?
Yeah, did
he?
he? Oh, I might be thinking of someone else, but did he?
He died at 31, so maybe he did. Hold on.
I think he owed.
He was penniless. Yeah.
He owed. I didn't. Yeah, and when he died, nobody claimed his body, so he's buried in that mass grave.
Wait, okay, I'm going to read this. Are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
This took a dark turn. On March, this should be a movie. This should be a Disney movie. On March 30th, 1968, about 3 weeks after his 31st birthday, two little boys playing in a deserted East Village tenement on East 10th Street, yeah, I like to be deserted now, found his body lying on a cot with 2 empty beer bottles and religious pamphlets scattered on the ground. The medical examiner determined that he had died from heart failure caused by advanced hardening of the arteries at 31 due to his longtime drug abuse.
Yeah.
There was no identification on the body, and photos taken of it and shown on the neighborhood yielded no positive identification. And he was unmarked pauper's grave in Potter's Field on Hart Island. Now that's a zombie movie.
Yeah.
And that's Disney found the body. The mom contacted them, and Disney officials found it.
Oh God.
And they didn't report that he died until 1971.
Wait, so what year did he actually die?
He died in 1968, and they don't reveal until they re-release "Song of the South" because he was a kid in that.
Oh.
And
yeah, there's just those dark little biscuits associated
really dark.
with. Yeah.
How did his life fall apart that young?
I mean, child star.
Yeah, he was in hold on, I gotta sneeze. Sorry.
You're good.
Sorry about that.
Bless you.
We're live to tape. He was in a lot of movies. This got really dark, this podcast. Thanks for bringing this up.
Oh man.
He did with him and his sister. Oh no, and that wasn't his sister, but him and Luana Patton were the first two actors Disney put on their contract. See now, and then he was on Song of the South. Now I want them to put that movie out because this fucking kid died in a ditch.
Yeah, I wonder what the licensing his life rights would be like.
I know that's a really, but Song of the South's the one that's really racist, which is why they won't put it out. You know about that movie.
I haven't seen that movie.
No one's seen it. They've buried it since
buried it.
They've buried it since the 80s. I wonder what he was in Treasure Island. All right, well, you know what? Maybe we'll do a Bobby Driscoll podcast one day. Because now we've complete. But anyway, never mind people who die at 31 in an unmarked grave. What'd you think of Presco Bill?
For the first thing that kind of freaked me out was that what was it? Sweet Sue has the exact same face as Cinderella.
Yes,
Snow
but a better
White.
body.
Yeah, with like a way better body. It's like if Cinderella went out and got like a rockin' boob job.
Yeah,
and then went back and and did this.
And did butt implants. Which is a thing I know about.
Like a Kardashian style butt implant.
She twerks in this.
Yeah,
which is
there's
crazy.
this is actually kind of racy considering the 48.
Yeah, she's really hot. I almost feel like this is Disney like putting down like women who are kind of like not loose but like confident.
Yeah,
because she's really hot,
sexually independent.
She like shows off her body, and then she gets her ass kicked for the entire end of the movie
by a horse, and then she gets launched to the moon.
Yeah, where she just dies on the moon alone.
Yep. Lucy and Ricky are not sleeping in the same beds at this point on television, but
Yeah, but yeah, she
hoes
really
get launched to the moon.
Yeah, she gets launched to the moon, and it's really it's It's messed up. It's sad. But like I almost feel like Disney was like vamp her up because we're gonna kick her ass. So this'll teach them.
Yeah, if you
Not to
go
think for
around
themselves.
shaking your bustle,
Yeah.
we're gonna put you on a moon colony.
Yeah. Be like Sleeping Beauty. Have
Yeah.
like negative A cups. You'll be good.
Yeah, just have a concave
Chest.
and spend most of your life asleep and not talking.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You'll be okay. Not like this chick who got in the way of a man and his horse.
Yeah, it was the horse that got rid of her.
Yeah, it was. He was very jealous. And the one thing I liked about this scene, which nobody picked up on, and Roy Rogers, it's surprising he didn't because he was very religious. This is like the most movie with like the most creepy religious undertones, I feel. His gun shoots off when she kisses him, which, simulates what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always a little Easter eggs in Disney movies though, because like you have to entertain the adults that are bringing the children to see them.
But this is before they did stuff like that, so it was very interesting to see how they snuck that
I
in.
mean, considering I just mentioned they weren't even having.
Like I feel like they started sneaking in adult humor like around in the 80s, like
Really?
around like
Okay.
Oliver and Company and stuff.
Yeah.
But before that, it was like I feel like Walt Disney would have been like, I'm nipping that in the butt. But
Yeah,
he
very
didn't catch it.
pure, very the family values.
Yeah. What'd you think of this segment? Did you like it or?
It was all right. I mean, anything that combines the live action with the animation, it's pretty entertaining to me. Given the technology that they had, which was none. So that I thought was impressive. The music was again pleasant but forgettable.
Yeah.
But man, I would really love to see Sweet Sue's redemption arc.
Well, I when we were sending the podcast, I'm like, they should have her. She's been in space all these years, like Captain Marvel. She comes back to Earth because there's alien invasion, and she's like this steampunk, this steampunk alien fighter, with the 1800 fashion, but she has like ray guns and stuff.
Yes,
That'd be kind of cool.
I see a very like Beetlejuice, Catherine O'Hara.
Yeah, Melody Time 2, Sue's Revenge.
Yeah,
I like it. I think or just make a Sue TV show.
Yeah, Sweet Sue's Revenge.
Everyone's about girl power anyway. Why not?
Right,
Yeah.
Frozen on the moon for 50 years. Yeah,
Then she breaks loose. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. I mean, she's already there. People would go see it even if they never saw this movie. I don't know if anyone saw this movie but us, quite frankly. I think we're the only two who ever watched this.
Right. That'll be like my one tidbit. Like they'll bring me onto panels to be like, she's the one girl who's watched Melody Time. Let's bring her in.
So overall, my favorite segment was the Donald Duck segment. What was your favorite segment?
My favorite, probably Johnny Appleseed. Just
because of the song. Yeah.
Yeah, because of the song and because of the Bambi reminiscent animation.
Okay. So the reason why, I struggled with this movie to think of I tried to have the comic match the movie, and I struggled to find someone. And I remember you were on tour with Legally Blonde, right?
I was, yeah. I toured with them this year, 2019.
Yeah, so I figured I saw this movie once and I kind of forgot about it. I'm like, yeah, I think it's kind of show tuney. She'll probably like it because it's all music. So I thought of you. Was there anything that could ever be in a Broadway musical or any of these songs at all?
I mean, the last segment, the Roy Rogers segment, it reminded me a lot of Oklahoma.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
right.
that's very reminiscent of that, and the Rodgers and Hammerstein segments of the time. And it's interesting that a lot of those musicals are being revived now, especially because they do have a lot of outdated attitudes when it comes to women and minorities.
Yeah.
And I feel like people are doing their best to try and like bring them into the 21st century. And while the music is good, I don't really think there's any reason why we shouldn't be giving composers who are alive and well and creating good work now the opportunity.
See, now I really wish I had you do Little Mermaid now that I'm talking to you, because Little Mermaid basically comes that Howard Ashman, his Broadway play bombed, and he was very frustrated with Broadway and the politics.
Yeah.
And he goes to his writing partner, Alan Menken. The only frontier where you can really make an original, amazing musical, the only way we can save Broadway is to make a cartoon, because I could do anything I want with my musical numbers. And when he goes to make Little Mermaid, he's making it like a Broadway play. And I feel like you would have had more to say about that. But
oh, well, yeah. And then Little Mermaid ended up going to Broadway. And that's when you
Beauty
find...
and the Beast.
Yeah.
Because he also wrote that.
It's also when you find the limitations that doing a live stage play have. Because in Little Mermaid, there were so many ways that you could, animate.
Yeah, because animation, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, animation, you can do whatever you want.
You could have Little Mermaid, like, fly into space.
50
if you
feet
have
into,
to.
50 feet in the air, but then trying to translate that onto a Broadway stage really takes a lot of work on behalf of designers and to be able to recreate the experience that you had as a kid watching that cartoon.
Yeah, I almost feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, but when I was a kid, Times Square was dangerous, even with the plays. And then Beauty and the Beast came out. And I kind of feel like Beauty and the Beast is the reason why Times Square is the way it is. And I kind of feel like they kind of saved the musical and made it an event for people.
Yeah, the Disneyfication.
Rather than like, I'm going to go see this musical and probably get murdered on my way out. Do you agree with me? Like that I kind of feel like Little Mermaid and those movies kind of also ushered a new era in Broadway. Is that right, or am I wrong?
Yeah, well, because like people talk about in a negative way, like the Disneyfication of Broadway, but I mean, in a lot of ways, it did make Broadway accessible and safe for families to bring their kids. Beauty and the Beast was the first musical that I saw on Broadway.
Yeah.
And I was 4 at the time. So to have my parents be like, yeah, this is a totally safe thing for us to bring our 3 kids into the city to see.
Yeah.
That was probably a pretty big step when it came to the city itself.
Yeah, and I also feel like, because I feel like when I was a younger, Broadway actors in the 70s and 80s were kind of more like outlaws.
Yeah.
Like it was more like an outlaw profession, and now it's like it's really respected, and you become a huge name, like just doing like the guy who wrote Hamilton and
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah, so I kind of feel like it was important, but it's so funny because it all starts with this guy, his play Smile, his musical Smile. Have you ever heard that musical Smile?
Oh yeah, Smile. That's the pageant one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It bombs and the critics hate it, and he's like, "Fuck it," and Disney hits him up, and he's like, "We have to bring," because they weren't doing musicals, "we have to bring that formula back, but we also have to save the musical because it's not." He thought
there's actually there's a song in Smile called Disneyland.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's what they heard it. That's when they decided we got to bring this guy in, because they weren't doing musicals. Like Black Cauldron's not a musical. Great Mouse Detective has one song. Fox and the Hound has no songs. Rescuers has like one song, but it's like a depressing 70s song, like about like you're gonna die. And I think they brought this guy in, and he like brought in a lot of Broadway sensibility, but he also had like, I think he was very important, Howard Ashman, to the growth of the musical and where you are now. I don't know if you agree with me on that or not. Howard Ashman and Alan Menken, do you agree with me on that?
Yeah.
Like their work on Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast, I feel like brought in a whole new era for musicals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because like there's songs that are made and remade, and if you look back as far as like the 70s with I had the privilege of doing a chorus line a couple different times, and that's Marvin Hamlish. But if you listen to those like certain melodies within like Dance 10 Looks 3, which is Tits and Ass, which is a song that I sang, but if you go forward and look at Aladdin and oh god, what's the song?
Beauty Never a Friend Like Me, yes.
Yeah, Never Have a Friend Like Me. A lot of the melodic undertones are similar. So it's like they took these musical themes that people couldn't bring to children. You're not going to bring your 6-year-old to chorus line, but they took those melodic themes and were able to apply them in a Disney setting.
Yeah. So I thought that was really cool watching that. And I usually don't jump ahead in the history like this, but since you go on tour, you're a singer, you're a dancer, I figured like it'd be cool to kind of bring up, because the story of him, and I relate a lot to being frustrated. Like I relate a lot because I I don't mean to get personal, but I feel like I should be higher up as a comic than I am. So I get his frustration, and it was kind of inspiring to see him. Oh, I'm not going to do another musical. I'm going to go bring back the Disney animated musical.
Yeah.
And I'm going to revamp it this way. And he was a perfectionist, and he really and he proved it, and he changed everything, and then he died.
Yeah, there's a really great saying that I heard, and it's rejection is just redirection.
Yeah,
so
and that's
like,
what happened with him.
Right. So like if he had gotten sucked into the Broadway world and just written musical after musical, which, just got produced, like he might not have made as large of a mark as if that first musical hadn't completely failed, and then he had
He did Little Shop of Horrors first.
I love Little Shop.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's actually being revived off Broadway right now.
And they're making a movie.
And it's cool, and it's creepy, and it's dark. Yeah.
They're
remaking
the
movie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. Did somebody called Faith Prince and told her yet? Because I think that's there's certain things that I just don't think should be touched. But
did you ever see the original ending to that movie?
Everybody gets eaten, and then the
world ends.
The world ends. That's it.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
kind of glad they changed it for the movie. I'm sure that works on the stage, but they put a lot. Have you ever watched it? They put so much money into that original ending. It's like Star Wars, the original ending.
Really? No,
Everyone dies. He's like destroying all of New York. Audrey. It's fully. They did it. It's fully. It's on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you have to watch it. It's like everyone's getting murdered, and it's like this big musical number of this plant slaughtering the entire city. Like, it's crazy. Like, the money they put into it was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. But Little Shop is like fun and
Yeah, I'm glad they have the ending they have in the movie.
Yeah.
where he makes it out okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like, and I feel like Little Shop is pretty well known even outside of the theater community.
Oh yeah, I knew all the songs when I was a kid. I never saw.
Yeah.
I've actually never seen a Broadway play.
What?
I lived there my whole life. Yeah.
Okay, so what you're gonna meet me in Midtown with like $40. We're gonna rush a show and we're gonna go see one because that can't happen.
I know. Can you believe that? I've just never.
God. Oh God.
I've never gotten around to it. I've wanted to see a few of them, and then like, I just got busy. I don't know. I'm just always. I want to see one.
38 years are just a little. Maybe next week. But
Yeah. There we go. All right. Back to Melody Time. Let me just end this. This is a question I ask everybody, so don't be like, "Why is he asking me this?"
Mhm.
Do you think you're ever gonna have kids?
Yeah. When I imagine my future, I've always imagined kids in it in
Okay.
one way or another.
When you have these imaginary kids,
Mhm.
are you going to show them Melody Time? Do you think Melody Time is a good movie for kids nowadays?
If I can remember it.
I did a podcast about this one, son.
Yeah. Look at the early times of Mommy's career.
Yeah.
Like Melody Time it's so cute, but it's so
Forgettable.
forgettable. It's like the sweetest girl you knew in high school, then you can't remember her name.
Yeah. Like with a lot of these movies, before I bring... I don't want to step on the button. Before that'll just ruin all the work. Before I bring a guest on, I'll like go over stuff that was in a movie. Like I want to talk to this person about this, that, and the third. I couldn't remember anything about Melody Time except the fact that girl like dies on the moon. And like I couldn't remember anything because that's so dark and weird. And I was just like, oh, what am I gonna talk about? It's a very forgettable movie. I would say again, I've said this about the last few movies. Unless you want to like complete the whole collection, but I've seen everything.
Yeah.
See it, but if you like are a casual fan, I would say not to go see it.
Yeah, I mean, some of the themes in it are
Archaic,
and I don't know if I definitely don't think certain elements of it would fly now in today's political
But
climate.
when he murders all the Indians,
Yeah, that's
and then
probably
repaints the hills.
Yeah,
the
nah,
coyote guy?
I don't. That's not. Oh,
Yeah.
yikes.
He just shoots them all and they run like cowards.
Yeah, no, that's definitely that has no place in today's
Oh,
society.
when you get to Peter Pan, I still can't believe you.
Yeah.
Oh, and here's an update. I've decided this. When I get to the Peter Pan episode, I'm gonna go in debt with whoever the guest is on how Bobby Driscoll's life fell apart. 'Cause I feel like that's gonna be a cool story.
Yeah, I remember
stay
hearing
tuned
that
for that.
story for the first time, and there's such a
I never knew that.
there's a dark underbelly of Disney that like
Well, of
we don't
also
know
being
about.
a child actor.
Oh yeah,
That's why, like, when I was in 4th grade, I wanted to act, and my mom
Mm-hmm.
was like, "No, because you'll get." And she flat out said to me, "You're gonna get raped. You're gonna take it advantage of,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll probably wind up really fucked up at 30." And as someone who's really fucked up at 38, and I didn't do any of that, I'm glad I didn't do that. I'm glad I had none of that.
Yeah,
happen.
I was like, so there's like a stage mom. I was like a stage daughter. Like
Oh,
I
really? You
really
were-
pushed myself.
yeah.
I never really felt like I was a kid. I was just a kid who kind of waited
But you
around
didn't.
to start a
but
career.
you were like not. You didn't run into like the seedy underbelly of.
No, my mom actually, she did not let me pursue it. She was like,
That's
if
my
you-
mom. Yeah.
Yeah, she was like, if you want to do this, you wait and you go to college for it,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's when you do it. So
That's what my mom said too.
yeah,
That's
I
so
mean,
funny.
and looking back, I'm really grateful that I had like a normal childhood of like playing outside and
Mm-hmm.
being in the marching band and all that.
It's so funny. Not to stray too far off topic
Mm-hmm.
before we end this, but I heard when Nickelodeon started their shows, they would
Mm-hmm.
have an so you're auditioning, right?
Yeah.
You are auditioning, but while you're auditioning, the parents don't know this. They're auditioning. So if the parent goes like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna go get some coffee. You got my kid. It's cool." Even if you're not that good of an actor, if you're kind of attractive, you're
Mm-hmm.
getting cast. But you could be the best actor in the universe if your parent is saying them like, I need to know this, I need to know that, I don't want him on the side, I don't trust, you're not getting cast for shit.
Yeah.
Their parents are secretly being auditioned at the same time.
Oh wow, yeah, my mom definitely would not have passed that
Yeah.
audition. I wasn't allowed to go past the stop sign
Yeah,
at the end of our street without her knowing where I was going.
Yeah,
and
you'd be
when
like, but I nailed that audition. How did she get it? It would be like, because your mom's in the other room being like, and I don't want her alone with that fat man. And the fat man being like, God damn it.
Yeah,
that was...
no, my mom was not leaving. No, she never. she was a very good mom.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's
she still
fun.
is a very good mom. Yeah.
When I heard that about Nickelodeon, I'm like, that makes a lot of sense of why these kids should wind up the way they do.
Oh no, yeah, that's super super sad.
And weird. By the way, if you want to, did you ever see before we end this? Did you ever see Old Dogs Go to Heaven?
No, should I?
Oh, you haven't seen that movie? Look up what happened to the girl who voices the main girl. I'm not gonna say it on this.
Oh,
I'm not
no.
gonna say it here. But it's,
So it's an animated movie?
It's an animated movie, but this little girl does the voice, and she did the voice of a few. I think she also does the voice in Land Before Time.
Mm-hmm.
And how she goes
Oh
is really
no!
rough.
I've heard about this before.
She goes bad. Like she literally is on set when they're doing the recording of Old Dogs. My dad's gonna murder me and mom, and they're laughing it off. She gets shot like to death. Like she was beaten repeatedly.
Oh no! I remember like I've heard about that before. Like
Yeah.
Oh.
And he shoots her, and like it's right before the movie comes out.
Oh no!
And
That's
it's just
so sad.
it's a weird movie because it's check it out if you can. It's
Yeah.
a really dark movie, and the songs that they put out the same day as Little Mermaid, and when you see this movie, like why the fuck would you put this against Little Mermaid?
But that wasn't. The movies that actress voiced were not part of the.
No.
Disney.
I think she was little. I think she Land Before Time, and she was also like a live action. She was actually in some movies, but she's like a little girl, and
she's like voicing this cry for help, and no one around her is.
Yeah,
because
the little girl's kind of treated like crap in the movie by the dogs.
Yeah,
and which never happens, as you can see from Jasmine.
Oh no, yeah,
I can't see a dog be like,
been-
get out of my face. But the dogs treat her like shit and take advantage of her. And then like she's like crying in one scene, and you're like, oh, in 2 weeks after they're forcing her to cry in a recording studio, she's gonna get shot to death by her dad. It's a really dark story.
That's
Look it up.
so dark. Yeah.
Well, on that note,
Well, now that that's gonna be
now that we
haunting
talked
me.
about child murder, Andy, where can people follow you on social media?
You can follow me at andeeconda. It's ANDECONDA. I'm on Instagram and Twitter. And I'll also be performing at Broadway Comedy Club on December 7th at 6 p.m.
Can I tell you something which is really funny? I thought, I don't know how I thought this because I met you in December.
Uh-huh.
But this entire time I thought, 'cause I don't think I've watched like your Instagram videos where you're speaking.
Oh yeah,
I thought you had like a high pitched voice, like a hi,
like a Minnie Mouse voice.
like I don't know why I always thought that about you. And then like when you came in, you're like hello Ray, I was like, oh, that's not the voice I remember. So you have a really good voice.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And are you going to be in any plays or anything recently?
Coming up on November 14th, I'm going to be performing at 54 Below. My boyfriend, Brad Bailey, is a musician, and he's producing a great concert, something to the effect of what we should be doing on Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of great actors who have, some have been on Broadway, some have not, and it's roles that we should be playing of currently playing shows.
Just real quick, this might come out at the end of November. Because do you have anything in December or January to plug?
Oh, December. So December coming up, I have a show coming up at Broadway Comedy Club.
Okay.
That's December 7th, 6 p.m. It's one of the audition shows there, so I'm really excited to be there.
Hopefully get in. So Andy's an up-and-comer, a little bit different from the other guests who are old and failures. No, I'm joking.
No.
No, not failures. They're great people. But yeah, Andee, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You were really awesome, and you brought a lot of insight. So that's the episode. Next week is the adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. I thought I had somebody, but they dropped out and didn't text me back. So you'll find out when I do who's going to be on next week. Thank you so much for listening, and get home safe. Thanks, guys.